What's up, movie lovers? I managed to get lucky enough to score some early screening of The Flash, so you're going to get my non spoiler thoughts now.
In love with movies. Da da da.
All right, so first of all, for those of you who follow us, know that we're not official press or anything like that. So I got really lucky, thanks to my friends over at League of Enchantment, to be able to get a early screening to see this movie. It's one that I've been anticipating along with a lot of other individuals. This is going to be non-spoiler completely. I've got one thought that I'm going to hold until the very end that might be considered a mild spoiler, storyline wise. Otherwise, it is purely, just my feelings. So the only thing you have to worry about with is sort of just general emotional spoilers, so to speak. But so I mean, I'll start with all the good things right off the bat. In general, this movie is like very fun. Fun is the word that I would attribute to it, especially the opening. Like it kind of has this sort of opening credit that goes along with things that carried through the entire movie. Really brings the energy that is therefore carried through the entire movie. It's really there the entire time. I would say, like, honestly, this is possibly the best movie in the DCEU since the very first Shazam. Maybe even better than that, and therefore possibly better than Wonder Woman. Me personally, I know a lot of people have been like, it's the best superhero movie that ever existed. I do not agree with that. Categorically false, in my humble opinion. But I did really like a lot of the movie. The thing I think I might have liked the best was the fan service. There is a lot of fan service in here. Some of it is more shoehorned than others. Some of it happens very organically. But I didn't find a bit of fan service that I think I disliked for me personally. So get on board with sort of that. And I think some of that has obviously been spoiled, or it kind of sets expectations within the trailers. Like you have things like Michael Keaton saying lines from his 1989 Batman movie. Like it's that kind of fan service that some of those bigger moments were spoiled in trailers, but there's even bigger ones to happen later on. So you've got more to come. There were pieces to the story that I thought were rather predictable. But I actually still enjoyed the choice, even if like you're sort of just a person who watches a lot of movies, or if you're a person who's familiar with the comics, you will probably see coming some of the story beats. But still, nonetheless, I personally enjoyed them, so I liked them. I wasn't upset about that. I wasn't like mad or disappointed at the fact that I kind of knew what was coming to some degree. I would say the word that I would use if I had to use one single word to describe the movie as a whole is that it's silly. It's silly and almost feels like zany at times. And for me, that worked more than it didn't. But for some people, that might be sort of a marker. I know that for those of you who watch this channel, I'm normally accompanied by my wife, Danielle. And Danielle, of course, did not come to this because she doesn't want to go to any movies that she doesn't absolutely have to. But she asked me, when I was asking her if she wanted to go, she's like, well, that's going to be really serious. I don't think I want something like that or dark. And part of me thought maybe because, it's still kind of Snyderverse, like the answer is yes. I thought it might be a little dark, but it is not even as dark as some of the other movies. Like I was talking about Shazam earlier. There's a scene in the first Shazam movie that's very dark in a boardroom. There's not really anything like that in this movie even. And that's sort of like dark, but could be, palatable to young children still. So it is really just silly above all else. And as long as that is what you're kind of coming on board with managed expectations, then I think you're going to have a really good time in this movie potentially. Now, I do have some pretty steep criticisms for my personal likes and things like that. And the first one, the biggest one that took me out of the movie more times than I care to count, is that the special effects in a lot of scenes just look unfinished, frankly. I don't mean to throw shade. I'm sure there were just literally, if you look at the credits, there's hundreds of people that I'm sure worked very hard and very long hours, and probably with other movies like Quantumania booking up all of the VFX people in Hollywood, it became a virtual impossibility. And I have no idea how much of these things changed, storyline wise, and then therefore that may have called for like more scenes that were VFX. But there's certain central bits that require a lot of CG that to me felt like something like a video game cutscene from like 10 years ago. And so that took me out of it every time that happened for me personally. If that doesn't bother you, I don't think you're going to have that much of an issue. There's a lot of music. It's trying to be, again, with that fun and silly, zany vibe. I personally did not care for a lot of the music drops that happen. A lot of the needle drops were just kind of like, yeah, okay, I get the vibe you're going for, but it wasn't something that really made me like want to pump my fist and get really excited for things. Like it didn't have that level for me. Let's see. Other things, there's the Ezra Miller of it all. They, as a person, are clearly concerning, but even putting that aside, I did not care for a number of the acting choices in this. I feel like somewhere along the line in the past, I heard someone talk about this, where they described their performance as almost Rain Man-esque, and there is this duality, almost like there's two different versions. So there are, and not just like, oh, literally there's two different versions from the two different universes. I don't mean that. I mean like the same Barry, the same version. At times, Ezra plays them as like really kind of the same Flash Barry that we had in previous movies like Justice League. And then there's other times where they're just like eyes are going all about and they're acting like, almost like Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. And it, that also took me out of it a couple of times because they're just like, wait, what? Huh? Why? Huh? And it didn't make sense entirely. And it seemed to feel like it came out of nowhere to me. So that's something I didn't like. So this is the one thing that I might consider a potential spoiler. I'm not going to give any actual specific details or anything, but like, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone because I'm very sensitive to it. So I had the question thinking as I went into this movie, there's a lot of people being like, oh, this is going to be where things turn around. It's the creation of it's the making sense of the multiverse. It's the creation of a single universe. It's going to be setting the path going forward from there for James Gunn. Okay, like the James Gunniverse that's coming next. So I'm going to answer like, did that happen? That's the spoiler. If you don't want that, turn me off right now. Okay, cool. In short, no. And I think that's the thing I maybe was most surprised a little bit, but mostly just disappointed. Like, it felt like there was an opportunity for that to happen with only some minor tweaks, but instead of like maybe refilming some things to set that up to make sense or to put a button on it or to make it seem like we're setting the stage for things, instead we have a joke like that. Barry, Barry makes a choice that seems to, in my opinion, go completely against his character arc. That is a whole other thing by itself, but I don't want to talk too much about it. And then the final sort of, you would think this maybe is like that last few minutes wrapping things up in a way that's going to be like, okay, this is what's happening, and here's how it all makes sense, and now we know where we're going, and we may not know the details, but we see the setup. Not at all. Not even a little bit. It literally kind of brings you back to the exact same place where Barry started the movie, and then it gives a joke. So, yeah, with that, that's my overall thoughts on everything having to do with the Flash movie. If you watch it, please, by all means, comment below. Let me know what you think. I know it isn't out yet. That's why I'm keeping things non-spoiler. So please let us know as you see those things this coming weekend. And if you don't already, if you found us because of this video, make sure to go follow us on YouTube and anywhere else where you can get your podcasts. Our primary thing is Less Movie Reviews and More, our podcast where we talk about love and movies, where we have guests on to discuss their relationships. And then they discuss some movie that sort of is central to their love story, their lives, their making of who they are. We get to know each other through the movies that we've had. So make sure to go find us and follow us for that. Thanks very much for listening. This is In Love with Movies. You can find us on all social medias at the letter N, Love with Movies, all spelled out. I am Nick. You can find me at Nick Loves Movies. That's NICLUV Love. Yeah, let's keep the conversation going. Enjoy.
In love with movies.